Welcome to another video. It's been a while, but we are playing Sanji again. It is a deck that has followed the channel for quite some time now. I do like the deck quite a lot. I've been playing it on and off basically ever since it released. Was pretty hyped to play it in OP14 pre-EBO3 because I think this was when the deck was the funnest. Then the Reiju came out and I think the deck got a bit boring because you basically became like a Reiju spam simulator, just spam red rocks and stuff. And now that red rock is banned or basically rotated, the deck has kind of become what it has become once OP14 and EBO4 came out. We could still run the 5-cost Reiju and I tried it. It's nice sometimes for Gravity Blade, but it's basically the only really good target, and therefore like running 4 Reijus is not as good, especially when it's mainly Rosi that you want to target it with. Sometimes maybe it would still be worth to play it into Teach when they have like Vasco or something, but that's 5 down for Vasco. And Shiryu unfortunately dodges that, Gravity Blade being a 7-cost. But the deck is interesting because you can basically run all the broken cards that we have right now. We have Gravity Blade, of course, as mentioned, against the Rosi players, or maybe even the Gyu Luffy and stuff. We have Galdino, which is like an insanely broken card. I first thought it would probably be like an insta 4-off, but it isn't really, because like if you play 4, like 3 is probably enough because you'll see it, and if you play 4 and you use it too often, you're just gonna deck out. Like drawing so many cards is like it's getting you close to actually just decking out. I play Sakazuki as a one-off. I just kind of wanted to have it in the deck, to be fair. I think it is correct. Like I think it is fine to have as a one-off. I don't think you can really afford to play like 4 because your opponent has to have a rested character on board for this to get like really good value, because if it's active you can of course Mamaragan it, but as Saka's secondary ability doesn't work if you use the main effect of Mamaragan, it's actually quite expensive. Sometimes it can come up and it can be good, so it's an option, but ideally you play the Sakazuki once you have a good rested target, maybe even on like 8 down or even 7 down on curve if you draw it. Sometimes can also be good in the late game, just Saka into like Stave Black Sanji to reduce your opponent's like a character when they want to go for game. It's also quite nice, you don't necessarily need to remove it. And yeah, of course Mamaragan, another very broken card. So we have all of the broken cards into one leader, so surely it cannot be bad. Nightingale also released a big video on Sanji. It's like a guide version, kind of like the deck breakdowns that I've made. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I kind of got inspired to play Sanji because I queued into him on ranked. And I was like, maybe it's good. He plays a different list, of course he's wrong. But make sure to check out this video and let's get into the video. Against Teach, Sanji can be much more aggressive than people think, especially with Stave Black. And like this list, the way I've built it is a lot more tempo orientated, like being fast on the Sanjis, buffing them up. And it's kind of because of this matchup, because you cannot win all the matchups with Sanji, of course. Like you're probably never beating an anal player, at least not a good one. So you should probably try to beat the matchups that you can beat, and Teach and Rosi, for example, I think are like some of the matchups. And here, like I should Mamaragan Sanji, I think about it, I even hover over it and I take, but I have like no play aside from playing the Boof Burst, which means that like if I Mamaragan and Sanji, I get an extra draw and I have one less card in hand now because I wouldn't have taken the life. So then I could have just casted the Boof Burst. Now I have to play the Otama to try to find something playable. So kinda on me. Don't know why I took that. Now I have to play Otama. I found a search event which finds me nothing really that makes me like play the game here, so I just play Otama again. The Culverin is nice to have because of stuff like Burgess or the Virgos, like especially the Virgos. So now I just drop one of the Mamaragans, which could have been an extra draw, which I didn't use. Now I just kept searching. Bottom decking 2 Stave Black, which is a bit unfortunate for early game tempo, but it's fine. No Sanji being played this turn means we're a bit slower than we would like to. Opponent takes. Takes H, uses H. Takes Devon. Now I can just Mamaragan. In this deck, it's most of the time it's counter in the early game, which is nice because it's a free 1k and it's kind of like this what Sanji never had. Good 1ks in the early game. You either had the 2k because your 1ks were searchers or like Josu's, or you had to take. in times of pudding, having to take was kind of bad. Now it wouldn't be too bad, but having my Madaran is just nice. And here this turn, the Culverin is nice because Culverin targets the base cost, so the opponent's teach like ability to buff them by 1 cost doesn't actually do anything. We couldn't bounce it with Move Burst, but the Culverin is quite good. Now he goes Shiryu. Puts Devon. I find another Sanji, which is nice. Get to play Sanji and the Move Burst. Drawing another 3-cost Sanji would have been nice. Then we would be quite fast, but we don't have one. So we just attack. And still just hardcast the Stave Black here. 5 opponent counter, 7 he ends up playing out of Vasco. Now I can play the Stave Black, go into Sanji. We bottom decked 2 Stave Blacks earlier, so losing our 3-cost Sanjis from board would be quite annoying, but like usually he doesn't really have a nice way of interacting with them. Vasco Shot of course is annoying because he taps them, so we are slower. And the 8-cost trigger would be quite annoying because then you can nullify the Sanji ability and just pop it. And we couldn't protect it, which would be terrible. We're on 10 now. There's 2 more teardrops, but there's also Sanji. I take the teardrops, but my Sanjis are already quite big, so it would probably be much better to take a Sanji. I wouldn't probably play this turn, but just having it would be nice. Because now I can play Saka. Play the Saka and just kill the Shiryu. Gravity Blade doesn't really do much. Having Sanji and Trash is nice. Okay. I get to draw a bunch. I go 5 into the Shiryu. Opponent can redirect this one, tap a Sanji. But one of them is getting tapped anyway, so I don't need to start with them. I can go Sanji into the Shiryu, and then I can go the 3-cost Sanji into face. Opponent had stacked this life, but there was no trigger. Which just means it's probably like a 10-cost or a Borsalino. Opponent goes for Viper, which is an interesting choice. Opponent didn't even use stage beforehand, so it's probably the play they wanted to do. It's not like they're missing anything. I think playing 10-cost here, of course, is always much better. And then also this swing, I'm not so sure about it, because yeah, I mean, I kind of get him trying to get me like low. But, I don't know. Swinging on the 6-cost Sanji, I can understand that he doesn't want to do that because it's quite expensive, like 10k into this 6k. And swinging 10k into my 6k Sanji that's on board even after the Viper reduction. I guess, yeah, maybe that's kind of like 10k phase is probably better because it forces more counter. If I take, I'm like 1 ZH away from being at 0. So, yeah, I guess 10 phase was actually correct. But this Gravity Blade, he gets like insanely punished. So if his goal was to play this instead of the 10-cost, because he didn't look for 10-cost of stage or ZR or anything. Like if he thought this was the correct play, then it's probably not. It's like Gravity Blade just too insane. They just basically deleted the entire opponent's turn. He played 2 bodies, which didn't really do anything. The Augur, which also like kind of doesn't do much, because it only reduces my Sanji. Because this is only a 7 now. The opponent probably doesn't want to take, doesn't want to counter the 7 here. So this Augur reduction didn't actually do that much. And we know that there's a Devon, so no trigger that we are afraid of. I missed out on my leader ability, of course, because I swung first. But if I had not swung first and played this Sanji first after the Gravity Blade, then like him getting a Vasco trigger or like him getting a Vasco shot on board eventually might mean that there's like an extra rest target even on the last swing or trigger. And yeah, I'm like probably never gianting this turn anyway, so the 1 Don doesn't actually do much. An opponent, like he trashed the 10-cost, so we do know that he had a 10-cost and he chose to not play it this turn. Which I mean, he has a Vasco on board. We unfortunately don't have Calvin. Like, Calvin would be insane here. There's a good chance that Calvin would just be game. Because then the Vasco shot wouldn't be on board. So my Sanji doesn't get tapped here. So I have an extra 9k swing. I go an extra 9 to face. Which might be too much. Like, it's probably too much because I can't go... Like, if this 9 connects, I couldn't split 9, 9, 9 after. Like, so him countering this might be wrong. I'm not so sure. I'm going 9 again. Like 8's probably enough. Like I just start 8 this turn, I think, instead of the 9. Because I have 2 Sanjis anyway, so just starting 8 Saka means if he redirects it, then he redirects a lower cost, like lower power swing than the 9k. But yeah, we just kept 9s. And like I could try to go for game, redirect this used. I could do like an extra 7 and try to go for game. But we're playing the safe play, doing this and just passing. Like, I was even considering doing extra 7 here, but if he has Zeha, then like Zeha burns my life, negates the only blocker that I have, and then I have to deal with a 7k and a 10k, which I cannot do on one don, so I kind of have to do it like this. I block 1, which... Maybe just concussor and block the others, correct? Because now, yeah, he goes into this. I can protect it, I probably should. I let it die, and he goes Borsalino and Burgess. We know it wasn't double Borsalino based on the first don, but now, like, I'm still quite far away from killing him, especially if he gets, like, a random trigger. It takes, gets a random trigger. Which is unfortunate because we have Stealth Black in hand and we have Unblockable Sanji in trash. So we kind of want to bait out the redirect so that we can do the unblockable. If I had like an extra 9k here, could have just started with 9k Sanji again. And then he probably would have to block. And then we would probably have game. Now he can block this 9k, so now there's no like unblockable all-in threat because he doesn't have to redirect this 9. And if I want to go all-in now, I have to split between my Sanjis. Which is very likely connect, but not guaranteed. And if it doesn't connect, I lose. And I cannot bounce the Burgess because it's buffed by the leader's cost. So Boof Burst doesn't work on the Burgess here. So I'm debating how I want to swing. Like if I split equally, it would be 10. Would be 10-10. Which means if I start 10, he's just gonna redirect it. And then I'm not smarter. Like, he could still have it or not. I wouldn't know. I end up going for the Boof Burst first. We play out the Sanji. Because nothing can happen from this point. There's no interactions to the Sanji. It's also free to play. Now I go 9. Because he can't really redirect it. Because if he redirects the 9, then I have an 11. Which is much more likely to connect, of course. So he counters the 9. But now, yeah, now he has the redirect. So I just pass with double Sanji up. Even through Seha 10 cost. I should be fine. I'm pretty sure I am. We're almost, like our deck is almost empty. He has a pretty big Burgess. It's like 14k now. But we don't have to counter the Burgess. Even through Zeha, we would only have to counter out of the 2 teachers and the leader swing. And then block the Burgess with one of the remaining blockers. Now this 5, I don't have any 1k, so I would have to +4 it anyways. I could free block it. And then I would have to counter out of the 2 teach swings. And then just block the Burgess. I can also just concussor here, even though it's like kinda overkill or giant. Because then I only have to counter out of this 10 and I win. I block. I do have 3+4 in hand, so I also block this just for him to go for game. I have 5 cards in my deck, which is an important information because now I'm going to draw the giant. And if I use this giant, then my opponent passes turn and I deck out. So I can't actually use that. So I have to use the other +4s and then we win. Playing against Ace, which has gained quite a lot of popularity now. It did quite well in NA. But it's NA, so we'll see. The deck has a very good matchup into GU Luffy. And I could see it probably being okay into Nami too. We have like decent sized bodies. But Nami's probably just still stronger. But there have been quite a lot of GU Luffy players, and if you have a good matchup into them, then of course your deck probably does well. At least the one person that sees enough of them. You do have a pretty bad Teach matchup though. So if there's also a lot of Teach, then it's difficult to bring Ace to a tournament. Yeah. Putting Galdino, one of the new cards, onto the board. This one I'll just counter. Opponent plays a 4-drop Luffy. Very strong card. One of the reasons you're so good against GU Luffy is the fact that you become 7k leader pretty much for the rest of the game as soon as this is on board, because you have an army ability. Treasure character with 8000 power, could be a brick, and you get 7k. And the Luffy itself also gets 7, which is like an important thing, because if your leader is 7k and you would have the rest at 6k on the board, of course that would make it quite bad. But what's even worse is when the card gets removed. Calverin really strong to clear those 4-cost bodies, especially stuff like this. Because if he doesn't turn it and I can't remove it, then it is quite bad. I think if I had Boof Burst in hand, maybe I would have used that, left the Luffy on board for a turn, because right now it didn't buff the leader last turn. And like waited for him to play like a Vista here, for example, because then I could Gravity Blade them both. Now the Gravity Blade is like kinda dead, because after this turn our opponent probably wants to play New Gates and they're 8 cost, so the Gravity Blade won't do as much. Was tempted to take, but there could still be like an 8k coming. There is an 8k and it's coming. But it's quite nice, because now the Vista is rested and we have a Saka in hand, so we kind of got to remove both of the bodies that our opponent played quite easily. We don't even have to use the Gravity. Yeah, I definitely should have pitched the Gravity though, I think. Like Calverin probably doesn't do something as well, but it's not like unlikely, especially if they play like the Ors later on. The Gravity Blade now is like kind of useless, because of course I just killed my opponent's entire board. And here I can swing and I could like not swing. I kind of want to put pressure because he has 3 life and a bunch of lives. But there's a reason to do both. If there was no Garbs, then this swing would be much better. But now the New Gate can reduce my Sanji, and then the Garbs can clear the Sanji, which makes this swing less efficient. And I also don't have that many Stealth Blacks right now, so probably better to just skip a turn. But our opponent plays Rush Zoro instead. Not Rush Zoro, but the Zoro that gets character rush. Rush Zoro would be illegal, but a lot easier to deal with. 9 onto the Sanji. Not the nicest number, because of course this just gets gianted. I guess my opponent maybe didn't expect me to use the giant. It's now double attack. It's interesting that it even goes to my face. I kind of want to cycle away the Mamaragans, because I'm probably not going to use them. And of course, I know they're 1 case, but I think digging deeper into the deck is quite nice now. And it gets me 2 more events and trash as well. So I just use both Mamaragans and take. Does mean that I'm only on 1 life, and I right now don't have a giant in my hand. I just used it. That's why I'm taking the Conqueror. Like teardrops would be nice too, because I'm like not too high on events right now. But I can use some, and I wanna dig for some counter. Maybe the teardrops would still be okay, because it was quite likely that I'm probably going to draw at least like 1 giant, or maybe more teardrops. Like I can use teardrops as counter too, it's just more expensive, which would be like the worst case solution. Yeah, I can take the Stealth back. I have double giant already, so I don't really need more. Just swinging first. Opponent's is 7, but I want my Don back. I can do 7 again. Could possibly make this a 9. Maybe should make this a 9. I'm just gonna do it in 8. Probably better to do 9 here. So I don't really need 2 Don. I should have checked my trash. It's like a sim thing. Because now the Sanji is an 8k. Opponent ends up clearing the Saka, which I think doesn't really make sense because right now they're both 8k, Sanji and Saka, but of course the Sanji is gonna grow. And the Saka's like secondary ramp effect isn't like, it's navy locked, and so Sanji can't use it. So it's just a 7-8 that's on the board. Maybe opponent's just kind of used to removing the Sakas. I could block and counter out of this. But I think I'll just counter this. And then I'll just block and let this go, I think. Because now I have quite a lot of defense. I have an 8k on my board. I can play double Sanji this turn, push them maybe to 1 life. And then just stall 1 turn and kill them on the clapback. Do a 5, gain a card. Then I can do an 8. Now we know that we're not gonna buff up our Sanji. We go double Sanji. Can even play out 1 more blocker. So now we have 3 events in hand. We have the blocker. So we can likely defend our life without even losing the blocker. And then it should be quite easy to go for game. The opponent goes for a 7k. Which of course I shouldn't take. Sanji, not Sanji, the ace list is like basically full of Whitebeard pirates, but some players do play the Sanji 2k that gives them blockable to the Straw Hat, because you still have the Luffy that's on board and you also have the Zoro. They're both Straw Hats. So if you go to 0, like of course Roger exists, but they used up Abaddon, but that Sanji 2k could surprise you. So they can still unblockable even if they have used up Abaddon, because of course Roger this turn wouldn't work anymore. I still have a giant, the 2k and the Mamaragan, so me blocking here is fine, because if they played like another Newgate and gave it rush, it would only be 10-11. And 10-11 I can counter. Goes for another swing on the Sanji. We're just defending it. Gives us an extra body to swing with, potentially being able to buff up the Sanji as well. And we get a draw from the Mamaragan. Plays out Little Oz Jr., which now if I had like a Calderon would be nice to just bottom deck it, but I do have a Boof Burst, so I can also bounce it to hand. So I do 5 because he's probably gonna counter F5, he's not gonna block it. If he did, then it was kinda whatever. Now we're bouncing the Oz for 0. Should just use the teardrops. I'm kind of out of the loop for Sanji, but if we use double teardrops here, or like 1 teardrop's probably enough, we would get these Sanjis to 5k, like +5, so 10. Makes it even more guaranteed, but with the 9ks we already have guaranteed math lethal, even though their entire hand now is 2ks. Because of the A's. But yeah, we definitely should have used the teardrops here. Check trash. But I haven't played Sanji in a while. This, like, I went 11 on purpose. Because I kind of wanted him to take the life, so that in case there's like a reduction trigger or anything. But he countered the 11, which is of course wrong. He should have taken the 11 because it was too big. If I did 9s and like he countered the 9, then the reduction trigger would be kind of unfortunate. Because then I need like an extra swing and I lose that swing. But that didn't happen, so we just convincingly won the game. So we're playing against Rosinante, which is of course kind of the deck we like to see. In OP14, where both Sanji and Rosinante were quite strong already. This matchup was quite good for Sanji. Rosinante has some new tools in Borsalino, Saka, so he can definitely fight more, and we've lost tools. So it's definitely gotten like a bit closer, but it should still be Sanji favored. And usually I try to find like the best possible games, like interesting games where stuff happened. Like grindy games or just interesting games in general. But this was too funny not to include. I can spoil you, it's kind of a short game. So we teardrops into another teardrops, which finds Gravity Blade, of course, we want to pick that up. And we can go Sanji, search one more, could have searched and then played the Sanji, but it doesn't really matter against their deck. Go 5, 6. Now something happens that I didn't expect. Maybe they just don't have counter, maybe they just drew this from live, but I guess like... Yeah, I mean they would have probably drawn it from live, because otherwise why wouldn't you just use it on the 5k tap the other Sanji? Them missing it on is not too bad for them, because they're going second, it's still awkward. And this isn't like low elo. I'm playing this on about 2 billion on this account. It's not the highest elo either, but it's definitely an interesting move. We play out the Galdino, go into Move Burst, draw some more cards. Find one more teardrop. So we have quite big Sanjis already. We are pretty close to becoming them to 8. Go 5. Opponent takes d5, which is very interesting. So now a 7 feels kind of bad, because then he could just free block one of the 7s, so we just go 8s. Now he has to block 1 and then probably take the 8. Opponent might just be bricked, because they took the 5 earlier, then had to use the 2-cost spell afterwards. Now they took another 5 and an 8. They do not have the Sakazuki here. They have to heal back up, play Borsalino. They still have 2 Don, which makes them go into the blocker law. And now they're just getting punished. Gravity Blade on Borsalino and Rosinante, and then Calverin on the Focus Law. So suddenly their board is empty. We go 5, we go 8. They take both 8s. We can search one more, they have no board. But this game is pretty much over. It was too funny of a turn to not include it into the video. This guy just thought, why not practice for some regionals? Queues into Sanji, gets Gravity Bladed. Opponent plays down Saka, which of course can kill the Sanji. But they have no defense. 2 on 2. With 8 Don. I'll just counter it, because why not? Opponent goes 5 on it. I'll counter it again. And he plays another Law. And we top deck the Calverin, which is funny. I mean, I had the Move Burst for it anyways. But this makes it funnier even. Just waste a Don. So I have a Don to return. Could have probably swung like a 7. Because you probably would have countered it. But this way we just swing. And we pretty much have game already. Should have just gone 13. I don't know what I'm doing here, but I don't know which of these cards my opponent drew, but probably had no counter in the early game, so that's why he took all the life and then got punished by Gravity Blade and Calverin.